Welcome to At Home with Music. In my last video, I talked about a Christmas carol tune that has two sets of lyrics attached to it. You know one of them as Good King Wenceslas, and the other, perhaps less well known, as Gentle Mary Laid Her Child. The tune is actually a 13th century carol which was written for spring, and it's called Tempus Adest Floridum, or The Time is Near for Flowering. And so this tune was originally published in a Finnish song collection from 1582. And so the original carol is about springtime, when the flowers are blooming. And so as I promised in the previous video, I would like to show you some ways to play this very famous tune. Now you can play it as a soloist. I'll show you how to do that. And you can also play it as an accompanist in case you're with a group of people and they all want to sing Good King Wenceslas or Gentle Mary Laid Her Child. You'll be able to accompany them. Let's switch to the overhead camera. This way you can see my hands more clearly, and it will also give you a chance to play along with me. All right, let's take a look at this tune. Gentle Mary Laid Her Child, or you might know it as Good King Wenceslas. I've taken this out of a hymnal, and you'll notice that it has the Latin name of the tune, Tempus Adest Floridum. You notice these numbers where it says 6, or rather it says 7, 6, 7, 6. That is actually the meter of the text. In other words, you have 7 syllables. Gentle Mary laid her child, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then the next line is 6, lowly in a manger, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it follows that pattern all the way through. We'll talk a little bit more about how they match tunes and texts using these numbers and these type of things in another video. But right now, you'll notice that we are in the key of A flat. Now you might find this tune in G in some hymnals. You might even find it in A. But right now we're dealing with the key of A flat. So we have this scale. If you've been studying your scales and you know all your chords, then you shouldn't have any trouble playing in A flat. So let's take a look at the tune. We're going to start by playing the tune with the right hand. 4/4 time. So we're basically looking at what you might call a soprano, alto, tenor, bass, SATB arrangement. And that's how most hymnals have the hymns. They're written in 4-part harmony. Back in the days when people were singing these type of hymns, everybody knew how to read music. And so everybody would sing the part with which they were most comfortable. And I can imagine that it sounded pretty nice. So we're just going to take the top line because that's the soprano part. That's also the melody. So here we go. And then the second line is the same as the first. Now it jumps up here. Notice how nicely that lays on your fingers. And then you jump down here. And you'll notice that that measure in the third line is just like the way that the first two lines end. And then you have another version, or actually another phrase here on the fourth line. So that's the melody. Now, as far as what chords should we use, here's where your training in how to play by ear can come in. Now, if you are classically trained and you can read these notes, that's great. You can just play what's there. But you'll notice, and this is where guitar players are not happy about playing hymns sometimes, the chords change a lot. In other words, the harmonic rhythm is very fast. You have the same chord here for beats 1 and 2 of the first line, but then new chord, new chord, new chord, new chord, new chord, and then new chord, new chord, new chord, one, and then finally we come to rest. So we can simplify this. In other words, let's take a look at this melody. You notice the first three notes are all A flat, which is the root of the A flat major chord. And since we are in the key of A flat major, it's a pretty good bet that the first chord will be A flat. So you can play an A flat chord and then see how long we can use that chord until it doesn't work anymore. So far, so good. But then look what happens here. Sounds like we need to change chords there. And so from your ear training, you know that sometimes we can go to the 4 chord, which in the key of A flat would be a D flat major chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then from 4, you can go to the 5, and then back to the 1, A flat. So let's try using the A flat chord throughout the first 2 measures, then use D flat, E flat, and A flat. Well, that sounds perfectly fine. You remember the rule of doing this type of playing where you're not just reading all the notes, but you're kind of playing by ear as well. If it sounds good to you, it is good, and it's going to sound good to people who are listening to you. So you'll notice now the second line is the same as the first, so we can use the same 3 chords. And then we go on to the third line. Okay, and then we can do the same thing. D flat, E flat, A flat. And then the D flat, E flat, and then that should be, since that is the root, there you go. So we have managed to play this song now using only 3 chords. So I'm going to play it through now. Very simply, we're going to play the melody, 1 note in the right hand, and we're going to play chords in the left hand using only A flat, D flat, and E flat. Incidentally, you can play these if you want. You can play them in inverted forms, whatever is comfortable for you. I'm going to play them all in root position right now. So here we go. Play along with me. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, now you might be thinking, could we use more chords than that? Could we substitute some chords? Well, yes, we could. A lot of times when you're playing the basic 1 chord, in this case A flat, you could actually substitute the minor 6, which in this key would be F minor. So let's try throwing that in a couple places and see how it works. So you could do that. See, I got a little bit fancy there. Here's a perfect place to put an F minor chord because we have these 3 notes. Those are part of the F minor chord as well as the A major chord. Or you could even do what we call a deceptive cadence. F minor chord goes nicely there. Then to D flat and A flat. So this is something that you can just experiment with and have some fun. Now let me show you a couple of accompaniment patterns you can do in your left hand. This requires a little bit of stretching with your left hand, so watch very carefully what I'm doing here. We're still playing the melody. So we're outlining the A flat major chord. Then here, I'll play that again. Try to follow along with what I'm doing in my left hand here. It's you can do the same thing here. Second line. And you can keep using this left-hand pattern. You can use an F minor chord here, and then G flat. Now there we've done it in an inverted form. All right. So there's one way to do it. There are countless other ways. Just to illustrate very quickly, you can play with triplets. Now you'll notice my hands kind of crashed into each other there, so you can solve that problem by playing the melody up here. And if you're able to get your left hand to stretch out a little bit, you can even play it this way. So before this video gets too long, and where are we now? That's getting very long. Let me show you how you can play this as an accompanist. All you have to do now, you're not worrying about the melody anymore. You're just playing the chords. And so you have somebody singing, and I'm going to attempt it. Gentle Mary laid her child lowly in a manger. There he lay the undefiled, to the world a stranger. It gets a little high here, but you get the idea. Now you're just playing chords, and you are now an accompanist. And if you want to get fancy, you can do da, 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 her child lowly in a manger. Whew. Man, I find it hard to sing and talk, or play and talk at the same time, and sing as well. I must admit, I'm used to being an accompanist. I'm not used to being a singer. But anyway, you get the idea. There are so many different ways to play this tune, and I hope that you have found this helpful. Thanks for taking the time to work through this famous tune with me. If you have any questions or suggestions, be sure to leave those in the comments section, and I will be sure to respond. Please be sure to like the video, as that helps the channel and also enables YouTube to recommend it to others. And also be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I know that there are still many of you out there watching my videos and you have not yet subscribed to the channel. But my sincere and grateful thanks to all of you who have recently subscribed. I really appreciate it. Now, we'll be doing a few more of these play-alongs during the Christmas season, taking on some other famous Christmas songs. And then after the new year, I hope to guide you through some non-holiday songs as well. So if there's a song that you would like to learn how to play, let me know, and we'll work on it together. Once again, you can leave those suggestions in the comments section. Thanks again for watching and for playing along, and I look forward to speaking to you in the next one.